and now let's throw it back for another Throwback Thursday. Joining us is Lori Kent with the Local Podcast and Brita Lingberg with the Historical Society. Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
Good
thanks
morning.
for
Exciting. We have another guest on this Throwback Thursday. Love it.
I know, it's so fun. Well, not all of our history makes it onto historical markers, but it doesn't mean that we shouldn't remember it, shouldn't pass it on. And I think this is such a great example. Rick has a really cool history talk coming up next week at Legends at Lake Lorraine. It starts at 7. There's kind of a social hour beforehand around 6:15, but it talks about family history. You don't have to be a historian. You don't have to be a genealogist to get into family history. And Rick has some great stories about how he got into his family history.
Yes, tell us all about that.
Well, for probably 40 years, I've been going to this little country cemetery in Clay County because my grandparents are buried there. But next to them is my grandfather's mom and dad. And I would see it there with my name on it. And I'd ask people about, them, where they came from. And like my dad said, I guess it never came up. So the opportunity came for me to go back to Sweden, where they immigrated from, because I wanted to find out, where did our name come from? Where did they come? Why did they come here? All of those things. And so that's what I did.
Wow, and kind of what did you find, upon looking into this a little further?
Well, like I said, we didn't know where they came from or why they came over here. I found my great-grandfather was an orphan at age 6.
Wow.
And then he immigrated when he was 25. So there was like 19 years that were just blank. When you're 6 years old, you don't just get an apartment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did he go?
Yeah.
How did he meet my grandmother or great-grandmother, And the other thing I discovered was my great-grandmother immigrated with my great-grandfather, but she had a sister over there, and all her descendants are still there. Yeah. So I met cousins that I had no idea that even existed on Earth.
Wow.
And when you think about it, had they not decided to immigrate here, well, you'd have a different guest here this morning, for sure.
Yeah, it's so interesting. We look at, where we come from and the stories and how impactful they can be. I remember at a young age too, just like learning about, who walked over, how we got here, and, the things people did to get us here, where we're at. Talk about the benefit to you of finding out a little bit about your history.
Well, we all, particularly when you get older, like me, you start reflecting on your life. Why do I do things? What's in me that drives me to do certain things? What comes from somewhere? And what you discover is, oh, I see, they did that. Maybe that's why I do what I do. And the courage that they had to have to come here. They lived in a dugout for 10 years. We complain if the internet's off for a half an hour. If they wanted to get water, they had to walk a quarter of a mile with a bucket and go down to the creek and get it. So, it's insane.
I think that's like one of the most important parts of looking at history is putting your life into perspective of, it's not so bad. These little things that we stress over sometimes. Our ancestors did a lot worse and had to go through a lot. I mean, talk about the benefit of this event that's coming up then and how people can get involved in that.
Well, it's a unique story to me, but very common. Everybody has similar stories, and that's a lot of fun, because then other people can reflect on their lives and share them. They always come up and want to share their stories as well. Last Sunday, I gave this talk at a little country church across the road from the homestead, and all my children were there.
Wow.
It took me 72 years to learn what I learned. I didn't want them to have to wait that long, and they got to hear the whole story at that time.
Wow.
That alone was a great benefit to me.
Wow, so cool. Okay, tell us a little bit about this event, and when is it, where is it, how people can get involved.
free event.
Okay.
Please come. It's fantastic. It's October 16th, so next Thursday. It starts around 6:15 for a social hour for some wine and cheese, hang out a little bit, and then 7 o'clock it starts at Legends at Lake Lorraine. The Minnehaha County Historical Society Facebook has a ton of information if you want more information on it, but this story, it's so inspirational because we are this great American melting pot. And Rick, like you said, this is just one story, and it's a fantastic story. So please come and listen to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And stick around, we have more after the break.